Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 24 of the PowettPlay Podcast. I'm Jordan Shannon, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Karen Powell. How are you, Kai?
I'm good, Jordan. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed last week's pod in terms of going over and looking at the world, the World Cup, the T20 side of things from India. So we're going to go over, and I'm going to pick my England team or the England squad, which would be quite interesting. But obviously, first and foremost, I wanted to touch on last week and a tough game against Barbados.
Yeah, I think that we messed it up there. Obviously, Barbados batted for quite some time
Yeah,
in their first innings. We lost something, I think, to the likes of 6 wickets for 60 runs in the first innings, and
yeah,
then 9 wickets for like 110 runs in the second innings. So,
yeah,
um, whilst you don't want to have collapses, you definitely don't expect to have things like that happening in 2 innings throughout the course of a game. And that I
yeah,
think we really let ourselves down as a batting unit because the pitch was still a good pitch
yeah.
to bat on right to the very end. And I don't think that we should have been bowled out in that second innings. I think that we should have found a way to sort of bat out for a draw and obviously still maintain the lead in terms of the tournament table toppers because we'd have had an additional 6 points or something if I'm not
Right,
mistaken.
okay, yeah,
And then it's just fine intricacies in the game where I think that we fell down because even in the first innings we needed 13 more runs to get an additional batting point. So
right,
that's an extra 7 runs, and
yeah, yeah.
obviously it's coming down to fine margin. So it's small things like that that you look back on and you really grit your teeth at,
Yeah,
but um, can't cry about spilt milk at this point in time. We just sort of have to move forward and try and learn from those mistakes and take it into the game starting tomorrow. And hopefully we can come out victorious and have a few things, go in our favor at this point because we'll need a few things to go in our favor now. But hopefully we can handle what we need to handle and then let the chips fall where they may when the dust settles.
yeah. I suppose the saving grace in terms of bouncing back is it's a short break. You go again straight away tomorrow. In previous weeks you've had a bit of a fortnight or a bit of time away, but at least you can go again straight away and hopefully sort of rewrite a few of those wrongs. But I think like some of the pods that I've picked, I know that they obviously had a really strong opening partnership, and you showed you got back into the game, and then obviously Rostam batted superbly and sort of took the game away. But like you said, I think it was that second innings where the pitch looked to, still be really quite in the favour of the batter. And unfortunately, it just didn't seem to work out where you could grind it out for a draw potentially.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think we're sort of 98 for one in both
Yeah.
innings and sort of like 190 for two in both innings, and then
Yeah.
had major collapses. So not taking anything away from what Barbados managed to do in terms of achieving victory, but I just don't think that there should have been an outright victory in that game, given, the amount of time that they took to get their runs in the first innings, sort of basically taking up almost the greater part of 2 days of the game.
Yeah. 140.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that there was truly enough in us to battle out the game, but as as the saying goes, cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties. And
Yeah.
was I would have thought that we had things covered. Clearly, we didn't. So pick ourselves up and get ready to battle again starting tomorrow.
Yeah. And what was it like to get a few overs under your belt? I say a few, couple.
I was not pleased about it in the slightest bit. I've been trying to retire my bowling for quite some time now, but when you're fielding for 140 something overs, you tend to go through every option on the field. You tend to exhaust every option possible. So
Yeah.
happy to do what the team needed. Obviously just rotating through different options and seeing where we can get a breakthrough. So
Yeah. Hopefully,
rolled my arms over and hopefully I'm not needed
I was
at
gonna
all
say, yeah.
ever again.
But the tape, like I think you touched on it before, the table's close, it's tight. and those margins over, in this next game are going to be really, really important. What you playing at the same ground again tomorrow?
Yep.
So you're expecting something quite similar wicket wise?
Most likely. I mean, in all reality, it probably is going to be. It's the nature of the square isn't going to change
No,
drastically from one pitch to another.
no,
And when you think about preparation time that they would have had for the game,
yeah,
they only had like sort of 3 days in between both games. And then you take into consideration the heat that is currently happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Like it's very, very hot. I don't expect anything else but for it to sort of play out to be quite a good batting track. And so it'll come down to one team batting big again.
yeah,
And probably another team trying to keep themselves in the hunt.
yeah, yeah. Well, fingers crossed everything goes well tomorrow. And you can keep, personally as well, you can keep your Rich Vader form going. You didn't manage to uphold Emma's word with a century this time on returning, but hopefully tomorrow it'll be a nice opportunity to go and do that.
Well, season's not over yet, so I'm still on return.
Yeah, true.
Just
Yeah,
not
that's true.
just not directly on return.
Yeah, true.
But no, I think I wasn't too pleased with my first innings decision, to be fair.
Right.
And
Okay.
the second innings, I think that I played an absolutely atrocious shot because looking at the situation, Barbados sending us back into bat, myself being on 50, whatever it
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah.
last over of the day's play, and tried to steer a ball down to third man and getting it caught at slip, or should have been able to just fall into a hole that I couldn't get out of. Knowing that there would be absolutely tired bodies coming
Yeah.
onto that field the following day, having been in the field already for 120 overs. So, and it's just staying on top of things like that and maximizing on those opportunities. So,
What do you
yeah,
put?
very
Do you put
disappointed
that?
that.
Do you just put that down to a little bit like? Do you think about stuff like that in terms of getting out in that way, or is it just a case of a lapse of concentration sort of thing?
No, it was just for a few of us. I was running balls down to third man before that, but obviously it was a new bowler as well, and it was completely unnecessary because it's the last over of the day. So
Yeah, you don't
an
need
extra
to.
run, an extra run in that fashion, is not going to benefit me greatly. It's only going to pose a risk, which ultimately ended up
Yeah,
being my downfall. So
yeah.
it wasn't the best shot selection there for me.
No, I get that. Um, Before we sort of go on to the England sort of selection for the World Cup that we just discussed, I wanted to get your opinion as the ongoing IPL and someone in particular, sort of Shamar Joseph. Obviously, he really became a star, for the West Indies, but also in terms of being picked up in the drafts and stuff. And he's only played one IPL game so far, which was not yesterday, the day before. And off the back of really doing fantastically well in Australia, although I do understand he picked up an injury on that last game. How does a bowler in particular really get this balance of trying to play cricket but also um taking opportunities from a franchise perspective? It does sometimes does the opportunity to go in the IPL, sorry, to go and play in the IPL come a bit too soon for somebody's development, do you think?
I don't think so. I think that can only enhance him as a cricketer and as a person because obviously the IPL is the toughest
Yeah,
competition going around apart from playing in cricket World Cups, and he gets to, I guess, mix and mingle, learn from the best players across the world. So um, someone that had an extremely great start to not only professional cricket but international cricket. But I
yeah,
think what people have to take into consideration as well is that this guy is probably he's not 10 first class games into his career, including his test career. So to
yeah,
have any expectations of him, much less lofty expectations, would be wild. He still has a lot of growing to do, a lot of
Yeah.
distance to cover in terms of having good days, bad days. He doesn't know how to put things together consistently yet. Nor should he. I mean, he's just, as I said, very early into his career. So people just have to, I guess, be patient with him, not have too much
Yeah.
expectations with him, not put too much pressure on him, and just let him play, let him make his mistakes, let him learn. And over time, I mean, the natural talent, the raw ability is something that's been on display for the world. So you know it's this. It's just for him to have an opportunity to be molded into, hopefully, what would be for the West Indies a world-class talent.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a fair comment, and that's why I wanted to sort of get your opinion on it, because, I think that it's fantastic. We spoke about it in the podcast probably at the back end of well, it would have been January sort of time, about the opportunity for him to get picked up, and what one, 2 or 3 games or 4 games in a series can really sort of springboard your career. But I wanted to get your opinion in terms of game time. But from my perspective, what crossed my mind a little bit is obviously the environment and who he'll be sharing a changing room with as well. So yeah, ultimately might not be getting overs under his belt or game time, but I think from an environment perspective and who you're spending time with and who you're sharing a changing room with, will probably have these real impacts of, from a professionalism side of things, how they go about stuff, and even if he isn't, as a, obviously not knowing him, whether how he is personality wise, I can imagine that someone of that age and of that sort of mold, will be all be ears and just wanting to be listening to people and understanding things, and it'll hopefully benefit him down the line once he gets that game time and once he, when the opportunities do come.
Exactly, because this is someone that's just probably 1 year into his professional career. So
Yeah,
I think he takes, and he should take everything with a grain of salt, obviously understanding that there'll be good
yeah,
days, there'll be bad days, but just keep pushing ahead and be patient. The most important thing is that himself, um, and people around him, be patient with him and understand that it's the learning and a growing process.
yeah. No, definitely, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully opportunities come and it'll be a benefit for West Indies cricket as well. So after last week's debate, I won't say it was a debate, it was a good chat about the India squad and the India team, and the strength and depth that they have, because we wasn't scratching around to find 15 or even an 11. The quality they've got in numbers is massive. But I think we'll have a chat now about England, and where they go. A couple of big things, obviously the in the news that broke a couple of weeks ago, in terms of obviously Ben Stokes not going to be going to, not going to be travelling, which in my opinion is a good thing for English cricket as a overall. And I think the reason why I say that is, absolutely I would want him in the 11, but I think for me as an EC as an England overall, they've got an eye on the 2025, which is India coming to us, and then us going to Australia for the Ashes. So I'd like to think that there's a bit of thought process in the situation, and thinking of obviously looking after Ben Stokes and making sure that he's at his peak physical condition as an all-rounder. So in terms of him missing out on the World Cup, yeah, it's a shame, but I'm hoping that the thought process is around, Test cricket and, the two big series, and well, the summer that's ahead of us, and also the big series is in 2025. And I've just watched I've just watched Joss Butler single-handedly win a game, all of 50 minutes ago, and you know, that is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable what he's just done there.
It's
So
great to see him back in form. I mean, that's something that obviously English fans will be happy about, and world cricket will be happy about, because his impact on the world stage and what he means for white ball cricket in particular. And it's his second century after someone else has scored a century on the opposing team to
yeah,
win a game for Rajasthan. So
yeah.
no, he's definitely back flowing, and this confidence is only going to do him the world of good heading into the World Cup.
No, definitely. I think that the way that we spoke last week about the benefits that India are going to have with the majority of their players coming from the IPL straight into the tournament, if Joss Butler keeps going the way he's going, he's going to go into that World Cup batting against a beach ball.
Yeah.
And him being captain and him being the leader he is in that side, the impact it'll have on that 11 and the squad will be absolutely massive,
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah. So
So
I take it that you're opening up your team with Josh Butler as your number one pick then.
yes, absolutely.
I
So
think we can move on from that then, because I think that's probably one of the easier selections of this team.
yeah, it is, and the way he plays 360 as well. He's he's always gonna be just around the corner from getting a score, in my opinion. It happens in playing T20 cricket. You're gonna the risk and the reward aspect to it is going to be times when you go through a bit of a dry spell, but I do think he's just around the corner from a big
Yep.
score. He's going to open the batting, in my opinion, with Phil Salt. I think that the way he's playing at the minute, and again, this experience side of things from his time in the IPL will be a big benefit to England. I was looking at potentially. I want Bairstow in the 11, but I don't know whether to open the batting with him or not.
I've actually gone with Phil Salt as my second opener as well.
Yeah.
For the same reason, I think that obviously Johnny coming back into cricket hasn't really found his stride.
No.
And I think that it allows him sort of that freedom to come in the middle and play,
Yeah.
especially with Josh taking off in form and Phil
Yeah.
Salt having had a good year so far. That's probably going to allow him to come in with more of a set foundation more often than not, as
Yeah.
opposed to coming in and going how he probably normally goes, but is struggling at the moment and putting pressure on himself and on the team to get off to a good start.
Yeah. I think that's the way I see it as well, to be honest with you. Um, and the only thing is that again, England, I don't know how many games England will play before the first game against Scotland, June. I think it's June 4th, if I remember off the top of my head. But I do, from an English perspective, I want to see Bairstow spending some time at the crease and hopefully picking up some form, because as we see, he's a dangerous cricketer at the end of the day. So we want that, and we want from my opinion, it's the experience side of things as well. It's not going to phase him playing in World Cup tournaments, especially in the big games. And if we get into the knockouts, it's not going to phase him in the slightest, which is be a big thing.
Yeah.
Number 3, I've gone with Will Jacks.
It's interesting that, because I've also gone with Will Jacks at number 3.
Right. Okay.
Um, Offers you obviously a bit of off spin
Yeah.
in terms of an option with the ball.
Yeah.
And I think that his batting is highly underrated, even though I think people are starting to become aware of, I guess, how good he really is. I
Yeah.
think he hits the ball in quite a wide range of areas, and adds sort of that additional power to that top 3,
Yeah.
sort of similar to what you get from maybe an Australian top 3 in terms of like brute power and force. So I'm
Yeah.
going to go with Will Jackson number 3 as well.
Yeah, definitely. And my thought process as well was similar, and the bowling side of things as well that will be a big thing. Although when I was going through it, I don't think I'm short of bowlers, to be honest with you. But again, I don't think that's a bad thing going into the
Yeah.
T20 side of things. Number 4, I have gone with Harry Brook. And I think that the way he started the county championship last week with a century was a big thing, and it was great to see him playing cricket again. And I think that he will give England that middle order firepower nice, and also could play a bit of an anchoring role if necessary as well.
Interesting. I've gone for Johnny Bairstow at number 4. I
Right.
think
Okay.
that experience level in the middle order, obviously having lost Ben Stokes because of his withdrawal from the tournament to sort of prepare his body for longer form cricket. I think this is a perfect situation for him after a power-packed top 3 to come in and sort of allow himself to get a run a ball or just over a run a ball for a bit, take a long and then explode at the end. So I've gone with this there.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. And well, my 5th pick is Bairstow, and so I would happily change them both around. It doesn't really bother me in that side of things. We spoke. Well, yeah, totally agree with what you said there in terms of how we would go about it, and if he needed to get into some rhythm early doors, and so be it. So yeah, I'm having Bairstow at 5.
I'm actually having Harry Brook at 6. And I think that I'll put him at 6 because I think he's more versatile than Bairstow in terms of his range of scoring options. Bairstow is more of a power guy.
So you've got at 5. Do you mean at 5?
Harry Brook at
Harry Brook
5,
at
yeah.
5, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think of his pyrotechnics and his versatility, I think that he is more likely to score, especially at the back end, coming in against spinners, that sort of stuff, playing in the Caribbean. I think that he has, and he will be more equipped in terms of skill-wise to handle that situation. And we saw it last year when England came to the Caribbean for that T20 series as well.
Yeah.
So just based off of that and knowing who I have at number 6, is why I'm slattering Harry Brook in at number 5.
Right. Okay. Well, my 6 and 7 again is similar in terms of who it could be. I'm going to pick Liam. Well, it's 6 and 7 for me are Livingston and Moeen Ali.
Interesting.
That's who I've gone with there, and the reason why, for me, I think Livingston. Someone within this team now, whether it be Livingston, whether it be it might be Moeen Ali, it might be Will Jacks, it might be Harry Brook, whoever. Someone's got to take over that role of Ben Stokes. And I don't mean role as in the all-rounder role per se, but the role of that leader, the role of the person who's going to stand up when it's not going England's way. They might be 50 for 4, they might be 30 for 3, whatever that may be. It's giving the Ben Stokes not being around there will give somebody that opportunity to be that leader. And I think potentially now Liam Livingston's played in these franchise tournaments for years, 2 or 3 years now. He's picked up experience. He's destructive when he wants, when he gets it right. But again, whether he's about 6 or whether he's about 7, I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, from a tactical perspective. And it's the same with Moeen Ali. I think he can with him.
My 6 and 7, and I think we're basically going to have roughly the same team by the sounds of it, but it's just probably the order that we have.
Order-wise, yeah.
Yeah, but my 6 and 7, so I've gone for Sam Curran at number 6.
Right, okay.
And I think that when you look at what's happening with him across T20 leagues now, he's actually batting pretty high for most teams. And he's doing a good job. And I think I want him to slot into that, as you said, that area that Ben Stokes sorts of lives and operates in, that 5-6 area.
Yeah.
And I think that for him being a left-hander as well, I wanted a left-hander in my top 6 to give me that bit of a change up in not just having right-handers where teams can target me with left arm spinners, leg spinners, all that sort of stuff, and some of that's versatile. And I've gone with Livingston as my number 7, my finisher, my power hitter.
Right, okay.
At the back end, and obviously he bowls a bit of everything as well. So another bowling option. So I've sort of got 3 bowling options covered in a sense there as well.
Yeah. I can't really argue with that. And I was, when I was talking before about this taking over of the Ben Stokes side of things, he's somebody who I can see having that impact. He was superb in the last World Cup. Was he playing with the tournament?
Yep, he was MVP.
Yeah, he was. So, he's coming into this in, having off the back of that. So, and obviously the back of him impacting, playing well he's batting 4, I think.
Yeah.
As well. So, I'm with you on that. And he is my 8. So he's my number 8. So who do you have at 8?
So my 8 is actually Mo.
Right.
I've gone with Mo at 8. Obviously experienced campaigner.
Yeah.
Hasn't really been playing that much cricket. I think he's got probably the cleanest bat swing from since Yuvraj Singh. Obviously valuable off spinner as well.
Yeah.
Experienced, and in these Caribbean conditions, I don't think a shortage of spin bowling options should be something that you die for. And with him, Livingston, and there was another one, Will Jacks. Yep. I've got 3 options covered thus far that can take me through probably at least 10 overs, as well as Sam Curran.
Yeah.
And I haven't even gotten into the rest, the 3 other bowlers that I'm going to get into as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, but basically, of us having the same 8 so far, that was exactly my
Yeah.
thoughts. Is I think we've got getting my order right would be the thing in terms of getting
Mm.
that side of things. But I think I've got a nice mix of, especially
Yeah.
from 5. I think I'll left and right handers balance as well,
Yeah.
which will obviously play a nice part when picking the order.
Yeah.
Um, my number, see, a bowling thing. This is where I've got one shoe in for a bowler side of things, and that's Adil Rashid. So
So
he's in that remaining 9, 10, and 11 spots.
I'll go my 9, 10, 11 first, and then I'll
Right.
let you go.
Okay.
So Adil Rashid, as you said, 100% sure, and he's my
Yeah.
number 9. He's my banker. He's the
Yeah.
one that comes on in tough situations.
Yeah.
Um, as soon as the power play is finished, he's bowling the first over for me.
Yeah.
And then depending on how the rest of the innings goes, I'll bring him in accordingly because he threatens both edges with leg spin
Yeah.
and goodlies. 10, 11, I've gone for pace, extreme pace, Mark Wood, Jofra Archer. I
Well, yeah.
think that in the Caribbean, both of them provide an X factor, um, taking the pitches out of play and being able to bring their 90 plus mile an hour abilities into play and just nail Yorkers, probably get some reverse swing,
Yeah.
quick shot stuff, and make it uncomfortable for batters, especially when they're coming off of facing spinners that going to probably be ragging it as the tournament goes on.
As it
So I
goes
think
on, yeah.
that's my sort of 11.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We've actually picked the same 11. I was obviously there's question marks over Jofra Archer's fitness levels. Um, and hopefully, everything's all systems go because I can't wait to see him back.
To
Uh,
be fair, what I've heard from the Barbados boys, because obviously he's back
yeah,
out in Barbados, playing club cricket and practicing and stuff, and he practices with the franchise as well. And what I've heard is nothing short of he's bowling absolute rockets
right,
and just running in and hitting people in the head for fun.
right.
So I think we can sort of put that to bed because we even saw that video in
Yeah, I
preseason
said that. Yeah.
with Sussex where he had to play against Sussex because he was bowling that quickly.
Mm,
So I think Jofra's well and truly back, but not only back, like rearing to go as well. And
yeah,
the ECB had said that Rob Key had said that he's getting ready for that Pakistan T20 series that's coming up.
yeah,
I think it's next month if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. It's in May. Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be a good, I guess, sight and seeing him come back into competitive cricket, and then I'm pretty sure he'll stick around and do some stuff with Sussex in the lead up to the World Cup. But yeah, from all reports, he's absolutely flying at the moment.
Well, that's really positive to hear to get some inside knowledge that he's firing, which is only a benefit for England and the World Cup itself, because people want you want
Yeah,
to see the best players in the World Cup.
yeah,
It's going to be a great opportunity for him. But a couple of special mentions really on my side. I'd be looking to take Chris Jordan, to be honest with you, as well. Uh,
really,
yeah, I would be because I like the experience and I like him as a death bowler side. I think he's fantastic at the death, and he gives me a real dimension from a fielding side of things. I think he's absolutely superb, and I think his experience of playing in the Caribbean as well will be quite important. So I think for me, I would like to take him. Whether he does feature, because I know there's the likes of Reece Topley will probably go on the plane.
yep.
From the left,
He's my reserve seamer.
yeah, from that left arm option. Sorry, like
Yeah,
but so he would definitely be someone who I'd look to go as well. But I think that's a really strong side, and it was only when after last week we discussed it, I sort of went into it and started looking into it more. I'm quietly confident with England.
yeah. It's just a matter of if everyone's sort of clicking. Once England are firing and once this 11 is firing, then it's going to
Yeah,
be a very tough task. It's going to be a tall order. Obviously, I mean, you've got the likes of Australia, who are going to be in and around the pot. You've got
Yeah,
India as well, and New Zealand, who play great tournament cricket. And I think that if the West Indies can get a bowling combination together, they'll be in and around it as well, because they've got an extremely experienced and very powerful batting order at this point in time.
yeah,
So I think those
yeah,
will be the teams sort of vying for it. Um, you'll have people maybe like in Afghanistan that pose a threat, as they're a good team as well. Maybe a Pakistan, depends. I'm not sure what their batting is like in terms of the consistency, but those are the teams that I think that can pose an outside threat to the main contenders for this competition.
yeah. I think as we go through it over the weeks and break teams down, I think it'd be one of them where each team we discuss that week will probably feel a bit more confident about it, because naturally you sort of
Yeah,
break it down and stuff. And I do think that the key thing that you mentioned there about New Zealand, they whatever 15 that they go with, they just have a knack of tournament cricket. They just
yeah,
seem to get it right.
yeah,
Um, and ultimately that you could pick a solid 15, but if you don't click at the right time, it's over. You're back on the plane. It
yeah,
happens that quick.
100%.
Do you see any other interesting picks for England? Do you see anyone else going in the 15?
Well, I've sort of got Reece Topley and Rehan Ahmed
Yeah,
as
the yeah.
reserves. In terms of batters, I'm not quite sure. I'd be interested to hear your take on reserve batting options, because I've got two reserve batting spots that I'd like to fill.
I think that the two that I was looking at was potentially well, obviously Joe Root's now made himself available, or sorry, I say made himself available. He's expressed his interest of playing, a T20 cricket again. And then the other two that have been discussed with Ben Duckett and David Malan. Now, obviously, David Malan has had fantastic T20 career so far, but hasn't featured since. I think he was actually dropped in as part of the 100 for the
Yeah,
Trent Rockets. And I don't think his feet. I think he played for England the back end against New Zealand, but he didn't go on the tour of the Caribbean. Um, so I don't know whether how he's in the frame. Ben Duckett again, is someone who's done really well from the red ball side of things, but has got that ability to play T20 cricket, as has Zach Crawley really as well. He's had a stints in the BBL and done quite well at times. So I think that from a batting perspective, it would be I don't think David Milan. I think that probably that ship has probably set sail for him. So I think the other batting situation would be whether they go with Root, well, one of the red ball players really, which would be Root, Duckett, or Crawley.
I think, well, for Root, it's interesting because the last time he played in the T20 World Cup, he was MVP of the
Yeah,
tournament.
yeah,
That's when West Indies won the tournament. Carlos Bradford hit those six
yeah,
sixes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he hasn't played again since. And I don't think that he's done anything wrong, because he offers you some off spin as well.
Yes,
Um, and he bats at a strike rate of sort of 130, 140, which is, I mean, perfectly fine for the role that he would be asked to do.
yeah,
But I think if they've sort of set sail on David Milan, who's obviously a more recent contemporary of what the England team are trying to do, then
yeah,
I don't see them going back for Root, who was sort of in the Owen Morgan era of things.
yeah,
Um, so I think that's sort of leaving, I guess, a Ben Duckett in more of a driver's seat
possibly.
position than most others. But I think any other two batters, they'll find it two batters and take them on tour. I don't know who they'll
Yeah,
be, but I think regardless of that, they have a very strong squad, and especially a starting 11 in terms of options. So
yeah.
they should be pretty fine in terms of at least definitely getting out of their group and posing a threat in terms of lifting the trophy, because they have lifted the trophy in the Caribbean before.
Yeah, no, it's true. No, it's very, very true. So yeah, I think that's a good analysis of England ahead of that tournament, and I think that the series against Pakistan next month will give a decent indication of who they're going to go with and how it works. Obviously, the conditions are going to be completely different, but I think from a batting lineup side of things as well, I think it'll be definitely interesting to see the order. I think I'm, taking your expertise ahead of definitely over mine anyway in terms of the batting lineup side of things. I can see them going for something similar. And then hopefully then get some overs for Jofra in an England shirt, which would be great to see as well.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, they'll ease him back into things. So I think you'll see quite a few seam bowling options where they try to nail down that sort of spear bowling option, whether it be Reece, Topley, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
I think Topley's pretty much nailed on at this point in time, unless he gets injured or does, horrendously bad and then brings others into contention.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just going to be about spear batters getting an option, getting an opportunity and seeing who they want to take on tour.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think Reece Topley, as I mentioned Chris Jordan before, but I think he's definitely overtaken Chris Jordan in the way of finishing the England innings off, with that left arm stuff. So I think that he will, that would be one to go. So yeah, excellent review of England's World Cup T20 hopes, and hopefully England are as destructive as me and you have just made out. And and a trophy returns. But yeah, thank you very much indeed. What we're thinking for next week?
I think let's have a dive into Australia.
Right, okay.
If you go England, you have to go Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, let's go Australia next. And well, one person who would definitely be in that side is Travis Head after his destructive 100 a couple of days ago.
Good luck bowling to him.
No, I know. I don't think anyone's form has ever been as red hot as he's maintained over such a period of time.
The thing is, he knows when to score runs in big situations as well. Like, he's got that sort of man of the moment about him as well, which is
definitely
what you want as a team anyway. So it's great for Australian cricket.
Yeah, definitely. No, I look forward to that one next week. That'd be good.
Perfect. See you next week.
All the best tomorrow.
Cheers, Jordan.
Cheers. Thank you very much.